I'm sure all the time you're wishing we had like smell-o-vision.
Mhm.
I really wish we did because it's divine. I mean, the smell is so incredible. Those aromatics, I mean, you can't ignore them. They get your attention.
Hello and welcome to the Herbs with Rosalee podcast, a show exploring how herbs heal as medicine, as food, and through nature connection. I'm your host, Rosalee de la Forêt. I created this YouTube channel to share trusted herbal wisdom so that you can get the best results when relying on herbs for your health. I love offering up practical knowledge to help you dive deeper into the world of medicinal plants and seasonal living. Each episode of the Herbs with Rosalee podcast is shared on YouTube as well as your favorite podcast app. Transcripts and recipes for each episode can be found at herbswithrosaleepodcast.com or through the link in the video description. Also in the video description, you'll find other helpful resources. For example, to get my best herbal tips, as well as fun bonuses, be sure to sign up for my weekly herbal newsletter. Okay, grab your cup of tea and let's dive in. This week's student spotlight is on Anastasia Brensick in Washington State. Anastasia is a vibrant community member and a dedicated student in several of our programs. She actively participates in live events, shares her herbal medicine journey, and reflections in the course communities, and she regularly supports fellow students on their paths as well. We especially love how Anastasia brings her 2 young children along in her herbal journey, making teas, identifying herbs, and even sharing sweet drawings with the community. As she recently wrote, "I think my kids feel a bit proud of their mom doing herbalism. It's pretty great to share the recipes with them, help them know what's growing around them, and making teas." And a true favorite moment when she wrote, "I think I should name my front yard Herbs with Rosalee's podcast garden." To honor her contributions, Mountain Rose Herbs is sending Anastasia a $50 gift certificate to stock up on their incredible selection of sustainably sourced herbal supplies. If you'd like to explore Mountain Rose Herbs offerings and support this show, check out the link in the show notes. Hey friends, it's Rosalee. If you've been nourished by this podcast, if it's helped you feel more connected to the plants or more grounded in your own herbal path, then I'd love to invite you to join the Herbs with Rosalee podcast circle. This special membership helps make the podcast possible. It supports everything we do behind the scenes, and it gives you a chance to go even deeper with the content that you love. Inside the circle, you'll get exclusive herbal resources, live classes each season with some of my favorite herbal teachers, and a private space to connect with fellow plant lovers. It's where the heart of our herbal community continues to grow. To learn more and join us, visit herbalpodcastcircle.com. Your support means the world, and it helps this podcast continue to bloom. I'm so excited to share this episode with you. I first met Lauren earlier this year while I was visiting Texas, and we immediately hit it off. First of all, we're birthday sisters, same date, and fellow knitters. In fact, she and I are both wearing our hand knits for this interview. I was also thrilled by the plant Lauren chose to share with us, Yauhtli, also known as Tagetes lucida. This is a beautiful species of marigold with a long history of use in indigenous medicine. I learned so much from Lauren in this episode and left feeling totally inspired to grow this plant myself, along with my other marigolds in the garden. You don't really often hear about herbalists talking about marigold medicine, so I think this conversation will open up some exciting new doors for you. And for those of you who don't already know her, Lauren's passion for plants grew from her desire to deepen her connection with the natural world and nurture relationships that allow healing to take place. She began her herbal studies with Austin, Texas-based Sacred Journey School of Herbalism in 2014, and now is a teacher and admin for the school. She founded White Deer Apothecary in 2015 and continues to craft local herbal medicines, teach medicine-making classes, guide plant walks, and work with clients one-on-one. Her favorite places to be are outdoors, in the kitchen, and on the dance floor. Lauren, I'm so happy to have you on the show. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm truly excited to have you on the show because we got to hang out earlier this year in May. That seems like a very long time ago in many ways. And we hit it off. It was really fun. And yeah, it just was a natural thing to have you on the show. And yeah, I've been looking forward to it because I'm like, oh, my friend Lauren's on the show. We're going to chat. So
Oh,
it's been nice.
yeah. I've been looking forward to chatting more with you too.
Oh, lovely. Well, as always, I love to start hearing about the many ways the plants have called you onto this path and everything that's brought you here to us today.
Yeah. I think probably with everyone, there's kind of like a winding path, I wasn't like born into herbal practice. Some people are, I think, but I grew up in the suburbs of Dallas and a lot of Hot Pockets and stuff as a kid.
Oh, Hot Pockets.
Oh, I love those so much. And ice pop, the neon colored ones.
Oh, yeah.
That was my summer, just Hot Pockets and icy pops.
It's fair in Dallas.
Yeah. And so I didn't, I just, once I was in college and kind of taking care of myself more, I just really remember the last time I took like over the counter cold medicine, like NyQuil or something. And it made me feel worse. It made me like stay up all night and feel really anxious and crazy. And yeah, other things like allergy medicines didn't really work for me. So I started looking into herbs just for those kind of minor things and found them really helpful. And then I think what really pushed me though more towards herbalism was when I was 24, my dad had a really bad stroke and wasn't able to be independent after that. And so I was his caretaker. And I took him to all kinds of doctors, specialists, like from the VA to like one of the top neuro rehab programs in the country. And that whole experience was really rough. It was really, I was grateful for some of the doctors and some of the care, but overall it was really disempowering. And I had different specialists telling me the exact opposite things, like you have to do this. And the other one would say, that's the worst thing to do. Don't do that. And, I think I started out, I was like young too, and hadn't dealt with a lot of medical stuff and was just like, okay, the doctors know what they're doing. Like I'm going to trust them. And it didn't take long to realize that they don't know everything. And it's not that I don't have some respect for, Western medical doctors, but they don't know everything. And they didn't know my dad. Like I knew him more than they did. And, and it was up to me to really look at him as a whole person because most of them weren't doing that. And yeah, I just felt at the end of that experience or going through it, like, man, there's got to be something more than this. There's got to be something that feels more actually healing, that feels more, like some of this stuff isn't going to get fixed. Some of these issues with his body aren't going to get better. What can we find that feels more empowering, more healing, more, and more community centered? Like I really realized when you're a caretaker, and especially when you're young and weren't expecting to be, how much I didn't really have community. I mean, I didn't have family nearby, or I'm an only child. We had friends and stuff, but I just really realized how important community is for healing and health. And so many things about it. Yeah, the physical stuff was hard, but it was like emotionally, just that whole situation was a lot harder than I knew it would be when he was living with me and I was taking care of him. And so there's not really a short version of this. I was like, I'm going to tell you the short version. There's not really a short version, but I had a really close friend at the time who had worked with Elliot Cowan for a long time. So Elliot wrote Plant Spirit Medicine, and he had apprenticed, trained with a Huichol like medicine man in Mexico, and really got his blessing to share a lot of the core of those practices with us white Westerners who don't know what we're doing in this world. And so anyway, my friend gave me Plant Spirit Medicine, and I read that and ended up going to a program they called Healing Camp up in Margaretville, New York at the Blue Deer Center with Elliot and other people there. And that really was really healing and transformative. And it didn't like fix everything in my life, but it gave me such a beautiful perspective and really encouraged me to connect more with plants. Like I didn't grow up with a garden. We had a few, some landscaping plants and like a rosemary bush and stuff, but I kind of felt like I had a black thumb. I did have a black thumb, mostly with houseplants. I had never even tried to garden. So after that, I joined a community garden in Austin where I was living and just kind of helped on a communal plot because I had no idea and really learned a lot there, and eventually had my own plot. And that's how I met Ginger Webb in Austin, because she would do plant walks there. And some of the other gardeners, I think I really annoyed them because I did love the plants, and weeds would pop up and I wouldn't know what they were, but I was like, it's pretty, it has a pretty flower. And so I would leave it. And they would, get mad at me. That's a weed, you have to pick that, it's going to spread. And I'm like, but it's pretty. So there was some little weed, kind of a ground cover, kind of taking over in part of my beds. And I asked someone what it was, and they said, oh, I don't remember what it's called, but I think it's edible. Ask Ginger. And so like, hey, Ginger, will you come tell me what this thing is? And it was purslane. And I had just kept that because the little tiny flowers were so cute, and it's all succulent looking and cute. And I'm glad I kept it. But yeah, that's how I met Ginger. And
that's
just
like the best meet cute. Like,
I know
it over purslane.
Yes. And the other funny part is when I finally was like, it was when my dad wasn't living with me anymore. I was still managing his care, but I was like, okay, I actually have time to maybe study herbs now, so I had learned about her school just when I met her. And one day I was just like, I'm going to look it up. Maybe it's time to do it. And it was like a week before class started. And this was 10 years ago. And the class was full because I used to be in her living room. So she was like, well, I'll put you on the wait list. And then the night before she was like, no, just come. Like, we'll fit you in. And then I never left.
That was a very defining moment for you.
Yeah, it really was. So I started assisting Ginger with some stuff with the school, and now teach some classes with the school and help run the school. And it's just I can't imagine my life without hanging out with herb people, plant people, every week. That's really beautiful.
That's something from my time in Texas and in May. I was so struck with the community there. You all have something super special. And I felt like personally, I was just so welcomed in a way that was beautiful, but it was also just a really beautiful thing to see you all in community. And so it made me think of that when you were saying early on with your dad and not having the community, and how much community is a part of healing. And that's been one of my biggest takeaways from my time in Texas this time around, is just the incredible herbal community. And I'm actually very inspired to work on a project of like, how do we keep growing as a community and having like basically what you all have, because it was powerful and meaningful and beautiful. And I think, like you said, just that is kind of the essence of healing there, to have that kind of community.
Yeah. And I feel so lucky and grateful to be just like embraced by them, because I'm an only child too. And I don't know, I feel like I'm not the best at creating community myself. And so I feel so grateful that I'm learning a lot, and like they've just invited me in, and there's all these really wonderful people that are great at community building.
Yeah. That was kind of an interesting takeaway of just, there's different roles to play within building community, and just how people fill different roles within that. Yeah, I can relate. I'm essentially an only child. I do have a half sister who's 11 years older than me, but I was essentially raised as an only child. And so I can relate to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I just realized I left out one little piece of the like coming to herbalism. And after my dad didn't live with me anymore, I really was like, had some free time or some space that I hadn't had, but I couldn't get out of just this like stress mode. I was really stuck in just stress mode. And I went to like a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner, and got the mysterious powdered herbs and drank those, and they really helped, and I was like, yay, herbs work. But I was like, wait, but I want to know the plants. Like, what are these? And I think that also really pushed me to study with ginger, because I was like, I really want to know the plants that are growing here and have that direct relationship with them, also from coming from a plant spirit medicine perspective. I think that's what I love about the Western herbalism, or the whatever herbalism I'm practicing, is that combo of spending the time with the plants as part of the medicine, making the medicine as part of the medicine, and then the actual physical constituents are part of the medicine too. It's all together.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah. I feel every time I hear somebody come in and they tell their story, every single time I'm like, oh, I just resonate with the story so much. Like there's aspects of that speak to me. Like both my maternal family is from Northeast Texas. So we got that. And then the one plant that I think of when I think of my mom is marigolds. That was like her thing. She always grew them. We always have the dried flower heads all throughout the house. And so I was very excited to see that you chose this plant for our chat today. And you were helping me out earlier with the pronunciation of this particular plant. So I think I'm going to do it. Yauhtli. Okay. Is that it?
Yes.
Yauhtli? Yes. Lovely. I'm really excited to hear about this plant from you.
Yeah. So Yauhtli is the Nahuatl name. I was first introduced to this plant as Mexican mint marigold. People in Spanish, it's also pericon. People call it Mexican tarragon, Texas tarragon. The Latin name is Tagetes lucida. So where I live, it's really commonly used as a landscaping plant. That's where I had seen it. Again, with ginger, I was on like a kind of a plant survey with her, where we were walking around somebody's land and just telling them what was growing there. And so this was in landscaping up by the house, and we're like, oh yeah, I don't think I had ever, it's a really beautiful plant. It has tiny little yellow flowers. So if you think of the marigolds, we think of, when you say marigold, are the big, ruffly, looking flower heads. These are teeny tiny yellow flowers, and but the leaves are incredibly aromatic. They smell like anise or licorice. That's where it gets that tarragon name. It's not, it's not directly related to tarragon, but I had never actually smelled it before and then tasted it, and I'm sure all the time you're wishing we had smell-o-vision. I really wish we did, because it's divine. The smell is so incredible. Those aromatics, you can't ignore them. They get your attention. So I was really excited to learn that this was medicinal. I think Ginger just talked about how, you can drink it as a tea for a cold or a tummy ache. And then, I think at a conference or something, another time I saw someone selling the tincture of it, and I was like, oh, that's cool, and I wish I can't remember who this was, but they were telling me how this was a really sacred plant, like a ceremonial plant in Mexica culture. And I was like, what? It's this little landscaping plant that's everywhere. And I love that about it. I think, to me, that I came to it in that way, that the plants that we just think are kind of mundane are actually, I feel like it has a secret life that I didn't know about. As I've gotten to know it more, I learned the name Yauhtli from our student and friend Santa Akuatzin. So that's the Nahuatl name, and it means an offered up thing, or incense, or cloud medicine. So it's traditionally used as an offering and for protection, and has a lot of association with the energies of water and rain, and also a connection to calling in ancestors and dreaming. So it can be worked with as a dreaming herb. There's stories in history of it being used as more as an entheogen, but it's something that's perfectly you're not going to be like tripping if you drink it as a tea, or I'm not really sure like how that worked. If that, I don't know anyone who works with it that way today, but if you look it up, you might see some stories about that and be a little freaked out. But it's amazing because it's an herb that, you know, your grandma would have for a tummy ache or for a cold. And at the same time, it's this really beautiful ancestor ally and just a really sacred plant.
And so you've mentioned you working with it as a tea and a tincture so far. Do you work with it in both of those ways? Like, do you find like that's how you're called to work with this plant in both ways?
So I've kind of my favorite way is actually the recipe I shared is an infused honey. Because the aromatics are just so strong. It's delightful. It just makes me so happy. I mean, that's really how I like to work with this plant. I actually had a summer head cold last week. And I'm like, I probably should have drank some Yauhtli tea. I was taking all kinds of other herbs. But it's really just as this, it just makes me like ecstatic to be around it. That's what I love about it. I opened the jar, I brewed some tea, you know, before a meeting so I could kind of be with it, and just opening the jar and smelling it is incredible. But yes, so tea is wonderful, and it tastes kind of sweet, not as sweet as licorice, but I feel like I don't really need to add anything sweet to it. I've tinctured it. I don't work with it as much as a tincture, but that was just something I wanted to try. So I have tinctured it. You can use it as like a bath herb, even for, you know, for sore muscles and joints, things like that. So it does have some warming properties, and pain killing properties. And I want to try it as an infused oil, but I haven't done that yet.
Oh, I bet that'd be so lovely with those aromatics.
Yeah. So the honey is really the main way that making an infused honey is the main way that I prepare it. And
well, I have a story about that.
Yeah.
So you were very kind and you sent me some Yauhtli infused honey. And so, of course, we opened up the jar to give it a try. And I tried it first and it was, oh my gosh. And I told my husband that he probably wouldn't like it and that I should just have the jar myself.
Like, just don't bother.
So he got a spoon out and he tasted it. And just to like set the scene, like, so my husband is French and he's just like very kind of typical French in that it's like very reserved. He's not like an American. He doesn't use exclamation points in writing or speaking. And he said, so he has it and he goes, whoa, that's surprisingly good. And like that's French speak for like, oh my, you know, and I was like, I look at him and I was like, is that a compliment? Because I also didn't, because he was like surprisingly good. Like he was expecting it to be bad. I don't know. But he was quite taken with it. And he goes, that is just a very intriguing taste. And again, this is like, I wish if you could know Xavier to know, like, these are like big deals that he's saying this, right? Because this is, again, not American. And so I was like, yeah, it's really good. And then I was like, I told him, I said, I don't think I can put this in a tea. And he was like, no, this needs to be by the spoonful. Yeah. And I was like, so he is quite taken with it. And he is someone who is not normally quite taken with things. The story does not end there though, Lauren. So then I come upstairs and the whole team at Herbs with Rosalee is on Slack. It's like an app that allows people to communicate. And so Xavier's on there. So he's downstairs, I'm upstairs, and I get a message from him. And it is simply a link to Johnny's Seeds company. Nice. For that plant. And I like, it was just hilarious to me. And so I wrote back, I said, is that a hint? And I just got a cat emoji kiss thing.
Aww.
So I guess we're going to be growing this now.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, so speaking of growing it, so I'm in Central Texas. I'm not good at remembering all the USDA zones. I think we're in zone 8, I want to say. I've read different things. I mean, I've read anywhere from zones like 7 to 11 that it can grow in. I think it's just the cold. You want to protect it from the cold. So if you're somewhere that
it'll be an annual here.
Yeah, it'll be an annual, or if you want to protect it. But yeah, so here it's a perennial, which also makes me so happy because it does just die down to sticks in the winter. And every year you're like, I don't know, is it going to come back? And then it does. And it's amazing. And where I live, we have a lot of deer. It's pretty deer resistant. I will say I was told the deer won't eat it. But I had some little baby plants that I had just set out to see, like, oh, is this where I want to plant it? And the deer tasted it, but since it was little, it was gone. So if you deal with deer, you might want to wait till it's bigger. Once it's bigger, they don't really mess with it, or they might browse and then go, okay, that's not really my style. But yeah, it likes full sun. It likes well-drained soil. I'm not an expert gardener or anything.
You're better than Black Thumb though now.
Like, oh yeah, wait, I'm not Black Thumb anymore. But plants that, don't need a lot of attention. Like I don't grow tomatoes. I'm not. So they just require.
I see.
I guess I have cherry tomatoes, but I like plants that are good, doing their own thing, and it is good doing its own thing.
Cool.
And it flowers. I mean, in books it always says it flowers in the fall, but sometimes here it starts flowering in the spring and flowers through the fall, which is also amazing and makes me so happy. So, I mean, that's part of the reason people love it in landscaping too. And I'm like determined to just have all our landscaping plants be medicinal plants. Like I'm like, well, what's the point of even growing it if it's not?
Absolutely.
You don't want to eat it or drink it or make medicine with it.
Yeah. I'm wondering if you'll walk us through making this infused honey because, and then I don't know that you'll know this, but I have like a question. So I don't yet grow it. Apparently I'm about to start growing Yauhtli. But what I do grow a bunch of marigolds, mainly it is kind of like medicine for me to grow them because they remind me of my mother. So I grow like the cempasúchil, which is like the big orange ones that are used for Dia de los Muertos celebrations. And then I have this kind that I think it was just labeled like citrus marigold. And they're small flowers like the Yauhtli, but very aromatic and lovely. Yes. They're my favorite. I grow them every year from seed. I just keep collecting the seed and keep growing them. And they're just so fantastic. So I'm kind of wondering, like, now I'm like, ooh, can I use that citrus marigold to make into a honey?
So that is probably the Tagetes lemoni. I'm guessing. I don't know all the different species, but that does sound like it. And, if the botanical name is lemoni, I could see how they would call it citrus marigold. And yeah, that is also, I haven't worked with that plant. I think where I live, people also call it Copper Canyon daisy. But yeah, you can work with that one medicinally too.
That'd be lovely. Yeah, I grow it every year. I have no idea what the botanical name is on it. And, but yeah, the smell on it is just so fascinating. What I do is every time I walk by, every single time I run my fingers through it so I can smell it.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't heard of any Tagetes species that are unsafe. I think the only caution is just to, avoid it during pregnancy just because they're, warming and moving, just out of an abundance of caution. But
yeah, I feel like my mind is open now because now I'm like, can I make tea with it? Can I infuse it into oil? This is very exciting. Okay, but back to Yauhtli infused honey.
And they will have, and it's aromatic, but it's not the same as the Yauhtli.
Yeah, completely different.
And if you know what, the Tagetes erecta, the marigolds we all think of, smells like, it's nothing like that. I mean, they're all very different in terms of their aromatics. And they're, I think they're, just their energetics too, other than they're all warming, but...
I love the organoleptic situation of just like, we really have to smell and taste these.
Yes, I know. You should grow it.
Yeah, you should grow it, smell it, taste it, try it.
It's an interesting one because it's not, I mean, like to my knowledge, the kind of big herb companies don't sell it. If there is, like a Mexican herb shop where you live, I'm sure they would have it. I've always grown it or known someone that grows it. So I've never purchased it, but I know it's out there in the world too. If you want to try it and you're not growing it yet, I'm just not sure exactly where. Yeah.
I was telling you earlier that, before we started recording, that sometimes marigolds get called calendula And
Mm-hmm.
so then just a frequent question I've gotten over the years is, can I use marigolds, the Tagetes, in the same way I would use Calendula officinalis? And I've always just been like, I don't know. But this conversation just makes me even realize how nuanced even the Tagetes species
I think
or
they are.
genus is because of all those different aromatics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know the Tagetes erecta people. I've had that infused into oil that someone gave me, and it is like a face oil, and it's lovely for your skin. I still don't. It's not the same as calendula, but it definitely has some skin benefits. The tarragon, I think, infused into oil, or sorry, the Yauhtli infused into oil is maybe more for sore muscles and things. A little bit different, but yeah, I haven't messed around with it that way yet, but I think
Yeah,
I
it
need
sounds
to.
lovely.
It's also just like all the other marigolds dye. The flowers are used as a dye as well.
Mm.
A really pretty yellow dye, which I also have not done yet, but I played around with some natural dyes, so that's on my list too.
That could be fun. Dye up some yarn, make it into a sweater. Little tank top.
The Yauhtli sweater. Oh my gosh.
Oh, that'd be beautiful. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about the infused honey and just
Yes.
walk us through like how you would go about making this.
Yeah. I love making infused honeys because we get to use the sun, like every other herbal preparation I make, I'm like trying to keep it away from the sun, and we have really intense sun. So in the summers, I'm like, yes, make all the infused honeys. So basically you just get a clean jar. You can use, I've done it with dried or fresh. Some people get kind of freaked out when I say infusing fresh plants in honey because they're worried about it fermenting or going bad. Just if it ferments, that's not necessarily bad. I haven't had any issues with them going bad, but if that concerns you at all, just use the dried Yauhtli. It works great, especially if you have harvested it fresh and dried it yourself. It's still super aromatic. So I would just fill the jar about a third of the way with your dried Yauhtli, maybe a third to half. And then you're just going to cover it in honey. You just want to make sure you have a clean jar. I poke it around with like a chopstick or the handle end of a spoon or something to just make sure there's no air bubbles, that the honey's getting all in there. Put a tight lid on it, label it, and stick it out in the sun. And I usually let it sit for like 10 days to 14 days, something like that, and bring it in. If you bring it in to strain it while it's still warm from the sun, it's pretty easy to strain. So that's a good tip. And I just strain it through a mesh strainer into a bowl and, jar it up and then lick the bowl when you're done. Drop of honey. Or like the jar it was in, sometimes I'll like make some kind of tea to put in there to swish it around, like I just don't want to waste a drop of it because it's delicious. And then that honey is, again, you can just eat it by the spoonful. You can eat it for the energetics because it makes you happy. You can, have some at night. You could just mix some in hot water to make kind of like an instant tea if you want. But yeah, you could have it at night if you want to work with it for dreaming purposes. If you do have it cold or a sore throat, the honey is excellent for that, or a tummy ache. So you can work with the honey really in all the ways. And I haven't done this with the Yauhtli honey, but I've used other infused honeys too as like a face mask. It's really hydrating. That sounds lovely. And what else was I going to say? Yeah, when you're making infused honeys, get, the best honey you can. Get local honey, get it from a real beekeeper. Just be careful. If honey is really cheap, it's probably because it's not totally real honey. It's adulterated. And if it crystallizes, that concerns people, but that's totally normal. Like raw honey is supposed to crystallize. You don't want to directly heat honey, but you could put your jar in warm water. It might take a while. You might have to change it out a few times, but it will eventually uncrystallize, or you can just eat it crystallized. It's okay. I just see people get freaked out all the time about honey crystallizing, and that's good. That's what they're supposed to do. And yeah, if you do it with fresh plant, I also just kind of loosely fill the jar about halfway, and doing it that way, I've never had it ferment. So not with this plant. It's not, doesn't have a super high water content, so I haven't really had an issue with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I have to say again that the honey is absolutely fantastic, and I will have some every night and probably morning, just by the spoonful. It's so lovely.
You're doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had a couple of your honeys actually, because we had some at the retreat. I believe there were some out, and then after I saw you, I was going to visit my family, and so I bought several honeys to give to them. And that was hard. That was a really hard thing. Like, I remember just like, I mean, I'm not even joking. Like, I was like there, like looking at the honeys, like to put them in their little gift bags. And I was like, but will they love these enough? Will I love them more? Will they even know if I don't give them the honey? I ended up giving it to them, but yeah. So I asked to taste it a little. Yeah. One was lemon balm, I believe. Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Balm too makes me so happy. I've made a tea with like Tulsi lemon balm and the Yauhtli, and it's like mind-blowingly good.
That sounds really lovely. It does.
Yeah. But yeah, the honeys, I love making infused honeys. I mean, in terms of like medicinal extraction constituents, they're not going to be the strongest medicine in that way. However, honey's really good at capturing those aromatics. So if you can taste those aromatics, you're getting that medicine. And I feel like people understand them. I love tincturing the intense plants that only herbalists like. And then I love having medicine that like anyone can understand and appreciate, even if they're not like super into herbs, or they don't realize they're super into herbs.
Yeah, I like that about infused honeys for that exact same purpose. I make a lot of rose petal infused honey with our apothecary roses, and oh my gosh, like you can't tell me that's not medicine. I mean, it's like ambrosia for the soul. So it's so lovely. But I don't have people turn that down. People aren't like, oh, this is from that weird herbalist again. They're just like, they're more like, where's the infused honey this year? It's more
and pleasure medicine is important. Sometimes I take those infused honeys and use them to sweeten like elixirs and things too. So actually with the Yauhtli honey, I make an elixir called Mystic Summer Elixir. So it's extracted in mezcal, number one. So it's like hibiscus, schisandra, sumac berries. So a lot of like sour cooling herbs. And then the Yauhtli honey added to that. And like my intention when I made it was, okay, but I want these like sour herbs for the summer. And then it just turned into something else. It's like, it just like takes you to another place. It's amazing.
That sounds amazing. It really does.
Yeah.
Well, I'm feeling very excited because apparently now I'm going to grow Yauhtli. Also excited to work with the Tagetes that are already in my garden as well too. So feeling inspired for that. Is there anything else you'd like to share about Yauhtli before we move on?
I'm so happy that it grows here. And, I just want to acknowledge that this has been a sacred plant to like generations of people for a long time, and a culture that I'm not a part of, but I just adore this plant. And I want more people to know about it and have a relationship with it. And I feel like if you see it, if you smell it, if you're around it, I mean, I feel like it, it calls to you. It's, Yautli's just like a really beautiful friend that I want people to know about.
Well, I know that mission has already been accomplished because like I said, My husband sent me the seed order link, which I can tell you he's never done that before. So this is kind of like him being like, okay, we're going to grow this herb. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm excited. And if other listeners are going to be growing this, or you already do, we'd love to hear about it in the comments and how you like to work with it. And everyone can also get their own beautifully designed recipe card with Lauren's recipe for Yauhtli Infused Honey in the show notes or by visiting herbswithrosalee.podcast.com.
That's great. Oh, yeah. And I just want to say a really good source for information on some traditional and contemporary uses of the different Tagetes, the different marigolds, is in the Curanderics Toolkit book.
Oh, cool. Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah, Atava Garcia, Swizecki. Sorry, Atava.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, she's awesome, and I learned a lot from her too.
Oh, that's wonderful. I will definitely check that out.
Yeah.
Well, I would love to hear what kind of projects you have going on, Lauren. What are you up to these days in the herbal world?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, I work with Ginger Webb with Sacred Journey School of Herbalism, and so we're based in Austin, but we have online classes as well. And our main program is a 9-month program that's September through May each year. Part of it's online, and then we meet like approximately 1 weekend a month in person at different land, all within like an hour or so of Austin. And that's our Foundations of Herbalism program. That's just really has my heart, and getting to spend that much time with students and in different places with the plants is amazing. And so if people are interested in really starting on their journey or going deeper, that's where I started. And like I said, I never left. So,
something I really appreciate about Ginger in the school is I just really got a sense of just how focused it is on the plants that grow in the area, and just how knowledgeable Ginger really is about those native plants or whatever else. But it's like Ginger is not necessarily the one who's like talking about rhodiola. Maybe I'm sure she knows about rhodiola, right. But I'm just saying, like, she really knows the native plants. She works with them. So it's just like, I mean, that if you live in that area, that is like where you want to get your education from.
Yes,
is
for sure. And like I said, so it was designed to take the whole thing together, which is there's an online part that's called Intro to Herbalism, and then the outdoor part is Wild Texas Herbalism. So we have a lot of people, most people take both of those pieces together, but we have some people that just do the online part, just do the outdoor part, or, do one at a time. Because usually if they just do the online, but they're in the area, they want to come back and do the outdoor. Yeah. But yeah, it's incredible. And there's just where we live too, there aren't as many books that are just like, here's the plants that grow here and how do you make medicine with them and which ones are medicinal, one day Ginger will have a book. But yeah, and part of my role in the school, so what I really love making medicine. I just love making things in general and food, but I love making medicine of all kinds. And so that's one of my big roles in the school, is doing a lot of the demos of the medicine making. I also teach classes that we call kitchen witchery, where it's a full weekend, just fun. All the medicine making. And we have one that's called Kitchen Witchery 101. It's usually in January in Austin in person. And we just go through teas, tinctures, syrups, salves, honeys. What else do we do? I don't remember. There's another, vinegars. So we do all that in one weekend. And then I usually do another one in the spring that's beyond the basics, where we do like also cleaning with herbs, and we do a face cream and some other like fancy oils, body butters. We do herbs for kids like gummies and things like that. What else? Oh yeah. Also in October, I'm teaching an herbs and honey class with Two Hives Honey, which is a wonderful group of beekeepers outside of Austin in Manor, Texas.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I think it's very much worth mentioning, Lauren, that not only do you teach medicine making, but you make a wide range of lovely herbal things, not only the infused honeys, but we've been enjoying your medicines because, again, I stocked up when I was in Texas. And one thing I brought home from White Bear Apothecary was the ashwagandha, which now I should have looked at it because I know the bottle is still around, but it was like ashwagandha with orange and
Yes.
spices. Is that right? I
Yeah.
brought that home for Xavier. Whenever I see ashwagandha out in the world, I bring it home for him. And he really enjoyed that. That was one that went down very easy.
Oh,
So yeah, that
yeah.
was a really good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us about your own products and how folks can find them,
Yeah.
including
So,
Yauhtli Infused Honey.
yes. So, yeah, whitedeerapothecary.com is my website, and there's a link to the shop on there. And yeah, I make a lot of tinctures, single herb tinctures, elixirs, bitters, a lot of salves. I also really love making infused oils and salves, infused honeys. One kind of special fun thing I make is this fire cider
I was
bouillon.
hoping you'd mention it. Yes.
Did I send you some of that?
Yes, you did. I'm so excited because we talked about it in
Yes.
May, and I was like so enamored with the idea. So yes, please tell everyone about it.
It's like I kind of call it fancy ramen powder, but it's like healthy. So it's after I press my fire cider, I take the mark, so all of those really pungent herbs that have been soaked in vinegar, they're still really strong, and so I dehydrate them and then grind them up into a powder. That is a labor of love, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And mix it with nutritional yeast, maitake mushroom powder, a blend of a bunch of different seaweeds, some real salt, and I think that's it. And it's just so flavorful and nutritive. It makes a nice broth by itself, but how I mostly use it is just adding it into soups or rice or beans or just anything that I'm simmering. I pretty much put that in, and it's just like a really wonderful boost of flavor and nutrients.
Oh my gosh, it's incredible. And I remember you telling me this is obviously like small batch medicine, like you just have so much of it every year. And so yeah. I feel like very honored I got some. Thank you. And do you also sell it? Like where are people, are we just
I do, yeah. It's on my website too. Yeah, I mean it's definitely a small batch. I had someone be like, "Oh my gosh, like you need to go into big production." I'm like, I mean, that's a lot of fires. I don't know.
Yeah, you need whole other equipment for that.
If someone has big production of fire cider, wants to collaborate, that's cool. But I usually make about 3 to 5 gallons of fire cider a year. So
wow,
that's a good amount.
Yeah.
But then I'm using the mark from that. But you dehydrate it and
it's smaller and smaller. Yeah.
It's not infinite, but and then I also have to have some. One time I, sold it all and I was like, okay, hold on.
Yeah, that's too big of a labor of love not to reserve some.
But yeah, that's a really fun thing to make, and it's delicious. Yeah. What else? I don't know. I love I do farmers markets and other herbal markets and things, and people are like, oh, what do you have? And I'm like, all the things you can make. Electuaries. I do really love honey, obviously. Yeah. I also love making electuaries. So a reishi rose electuary, that's one of my favorite combos. That's really, reishi is just amazingly supportive, but really great immune support. But also I love that combo for grief, for like moving through grief. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Making medicine that tastes good. I mean, I'm all some strong, get the job done tinctures, but I love making medicine that tastes good. And I did really learn that from Ginger.
Yeah. It's I mean, she's now sold her tincture company to a lovely person that's going to be on the show soon too. But yeah, I stocked up on a bunch of stuff then too. But I love like her evening primrose, which Ginger was on the show talking about evening primrose, which is the evening primrose elixir. And what I like to do with that is I add it to my other tincture. So like put my tinctures in water and then I add a bit of that, and it just like rounds it out and makes everything taste better. So, yeah.
Well, I think, if you're looking forward to taking your medicine, like that's great.
Yeah, it does help.
If you're really enjoying it, that joy and delighting our senses is good for us too.
Yeah. Well, I'd also want to check in with you because you're very close to the recent flooding that just happened in Texas. And we were talking briefly about just how the herbalists are organizing around that. And I would love to hear more about that. I always find it, when these tragedies strike, it's obviously very sad, and there's, just a lot to wade through in these situations. And it's also such a beautiful thing to see herbalists come together and support a community that's been stricken,
Yeah.
going through so much grief, going through so much trauma. So I would love to hear anything you'd like to share about the process and what it's been like.
Yeah. Really close to me. The Guadalupe River is about less than 2 miles from my house. There's this beautiful, so I live in Kerrville, Texas, and the beautiful river park there, is it's unrecognizable, which is, that's crazy. But yeah, the loss of life and just people losing everything they had as well has been really obviously devastating and heavy. And the shining lights has been how much people have wanted to help. And immediately the herbal community, I had so many people reaching out to me, asking what they could do. And I think, right away after a disaster like this, there was a lot of support coming here to Kerrville. I think some other areas weren't getting as much, but at first we kind of just had to stay out of the way while they were doing search and rescue. And, but now this is going to be ongoing for a long time. And I think, our whole community, lots of communities, whether they were directly affected or not, are, traumatized by it. Like there's, a lot of heartbreak and just a lot of healing that's going to need to happen in the long term. So it's been a few weeks now, and I think just about a week ago we finally got like a list together of what would be helpful, because again, everyone wants to help and just start sending stuff, but what we really want is to find out what's needed. Mm-hmm. So it took a minute to kind of get there to see what is actually helpful. And our local, the Wildflower School, Herbalists Without Borders chapter, got together and had conversations. And a lot of those people had worked in recovery from other tragedies. So they had a really good idea. It's mostly like grief support. What else? Most of those kind of herbs, so things like oat straw and rose, passion flower, things like that. Also topical things for baths, aromatics, either inhalers or sprays. So we're focusing on making kits with those kind of herbs, and then also things for the recovery, like basically search and recovery workers and people doing all the cleanup. So they're out here in Texas in the summer. It's hot, it's nasty, there's bugs. I did a little bit of cleanup at a local nature center, and the residue from the floodwaters is pretty gross. Just a day of cleaning that off of stuff, I was like, all right, I need to get home and take my agarita, just like antimicrobial. So anyway, we're working on those kind of kits too. And and it wasn't just Kerrville. There are lots of other areas around that were affected. And so people can, I don't know if we can share links or anything, but the Wildflower School Herbalists Without Borders chapter has like a donation link if people want to donate funds, or if you have any of those kind of grief support herbs that you want to donate, can get in touch with our coordinator. And sorry, I don't have that info in front of me, but
that's okay. Yeah, just get everything to us. We'll be sure to put that in the show notes.
Yeah, and there's like a list of specific requests, because everyone's just been so generous and just like immediately asking how they could help. And I hunt as a town near us that was really hit the hardest in this area, and just spoke with some people who live there at the farmer's market, and they barely got out of their house. Like the flood was up to they were just floating in like the little eave. Like just had that much room to breathe, and they were really excited to hear about, getting some herbs and things as well. So,
something that recently my friend Emily Hahn shared. So Emily lives in LA, and they had the big fires there this year, and she's been part of the effort of making medicines and giving them. And she said part of it is like the medicine itself, right? Is like it's helping with people's breathing and helping with grief, helping with trauma, helping the nervous system. So there's that. There's also the act of like, being cared for at a time when
Yes.
everything is so scary, and just like how reassuring it is to feel like there's like a community that's like, no, we got you, and we're here for you. And I thought that was just really beautiful too. Just that,
Yeah.
just the act of giving something
Yeah.
is also, just really beautiful medicine.
Yeah, and we're hoping to organize once we have kits and things. Like there's some places in town, like our nature center here, and there's actually a yarn store called the Rogues Game. That's really sweet people that once we have those kits, we can kind of have a little, just like a little gathering. Like let people know they're here, come by, we can drink some tea together, just to have some like face to face too, because. I think for me too, I haven't lived in this area that long, so I'm not as plugged into the community and wasn't sure how to find the people that want the herbs. And that's been really eye-opening too, because Austin is a little bit different scene than out here. I just wasn't sure like, how many people want this kind of care, and a lot of people do. Yeah.
No, that's lovely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, as we also were chatting about just briefly, like the healing from this goes on for so long. I mean, it's so disruptive to people's lives. And I know that from where I live, we have wildfires. And so I've watched friends lose their home to fires and watch them take, 5 years before they're never like back to, quote normal, but, they move on. But it can take that many years to like re-home and, feel like settled again after something like this.
Well, and I know there's just thinking about the land too. We were like a week later able to go down by the rivers. There's this beautiful park, and it's honestly my favorite part of living here is that river park. And it's really unrecognizable. I mean, the way the landscape has changed. We have these giant cypress trees, and most of those are still there. Some of them, were knocked over, but most of the smaller trees are just gone. Like we had a lot of, they're just gone, and just so much material was moved, like rocks and silt and everything. I mean, I couldn't figure out where we were at on the trail, like it doesn't look anything like it. And then, so just like the land, I think healing or reconfiguring, I know we had some mention of someone coming to, do like a ceremony and an offering for the land too. And then there's some plants, our native mugwort. There's a lot of that by the river. It's fine. It's totally fine.
Mugwort.
Like it was like you couldn't even tell anything happened. It was completely submerged in water for a while. It's super resilient and beautiful.
Yeah.
Just seeing that little thing made me happy, but I feel kind of ungrounded, and like that's where I would go for solace, was to go walk around the river. I'm like, I don't know where to go now. Like what, that's the least of all the issues, but still, I think everyone who's here is affected in some way, and we all love that river. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Lauren, for sharing just a little bit what it's been like. And we'll be sure to get links of support out to folks as well. And just, thank you, and to everyone who's, doing the work of supporting people who are going through this, including yourselves. So appreciate that. Well, before I let you go, I have one last question for you. And that question is, how do herbs instill hope in you?
Oh my gosh. I think, in so many ways, some of it is the herbs. I always say this about our classes, like herbs just draw the most wonderful people. I feel so honored to get to spend time with really open and just caring people. I think the herbs are healers, and then they call the healers, they call the people that just want to help and be of service in this world. And that's really beautiful. Times I just remember too, like when the pandemic first started and we were all like, what is going on? Like everything just felt mixed up and scary. just feeling like I can go spend time with the plants. My husband was like working on a small farm then, and I just remember also sitting up against this big pine tree and just being like, okay, like the herbs, the plants are always going to be here, as long as we make sure they're here, as long as we protect them too. But they're here for us all the time. And just feeling like wherever you go, you can see a plant friend, you just have friends wherever you go.
Oh yeah, that's very true. I was just traveling in Ireland and I felt, so many of my favorite plants are there, and it is such like a welcoming feeling.
Yeah.
I will say when I was there earlier in May, there's so many Texan plants I don't know. I feel like I know all the plants, not really, but there were so many that I was just like, it's a whole other world down here.
Yeah, it's a pretty different environment.
Yeah.
But yeah, my husband's a plant person too. He's grown up as a farmer. He grew up on a farm and has done a lot of farming, and now he's doing more like landscaping with native plants. And whenever we go on vacation, we love just hiking and talking about plants. And we went to like Northern California a couple of years ago for the first time, and to see the redwoods and everything too. And that was pretty cool for us to see such different plants, but also some of the same ones that we recognize, just different, like the wood sorrel that's gigantic.
Yeah.
Like teeny tiny. And we're like, oh my God, that's gigantic sorrel. That's so cool. But that's, I don't know. That's just a fun thing to share too. And I will say the plants, brought us together too. So I'm forever grateful for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this has been so lovely, Lauren. Thank you so much for sharing about Yauhtli, for sharing about your path, and for sharing what it's been like with this, post-flood recovery as well. Really appreciate it, and really inspired about the Tagetes genius as a whole. Looking forward to growing my own. So anyway, I'm leaving this feeling super inspired, and I'm just really grateful to you for spending the time with us. So thank you very much.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. And yeah, so happy to get to talk about Yauhtli any chance I get.
Wonderful.
Hear
All right.
all the things you start creating and making with it.
Yeah. I feel like I'm not going to be the only one. There's going to be lots of us, or I just can't wait. So yeah, thanks for the inspiration, Lauren.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to head over to the show notes at herbswithrosaleepodcast.com to download your beautifully illustrated recipe card. There, you'll also be able to sign up for my newsletter, which is the best way to stay in touch. You can find more from Lauren on Instagram at White Deer Apothecary. And if you'd like more herbal episodes to head your way, then one of the best ways to support this podcast is by subscribing on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. I deeply believe that this world needs more herbalists and plant-centered folks, and I'm so glad that you're here as part of this herbal community. Also, a big round of thanks to the people all over the world who make this podcast happen week to week. Emily Thomas Anderson is the project manager who oversees the entire podcast operation, from guest outreach to writing show notes and on and on. I often tell people, I just show up. Emily does most of the heavy lifting. Nicole Paul is the operator for the entire Herbs with Rosalee school and community. She keeps an eagle-eye view on everything to ensure it's running smoothly. Francesca is our fabulous video and audio editor. She not only makes listening more pleasant, she also adds beauty to the YouTube videos with plant images and video overlays. Tatiana Rusakova is the botanical illustrator who creates gorgeous plant and recipe illustrations for us. I love them, and I know you love them. Once the illustration is ready, Jenny creates the recipe cards as well as the thumbnail images for YouTube. Alex is our behind-the-scenes tech support and social media manager, and Karen and Emily are our student services coordinators and community support. If you've written in with a question, undoubtedly you got help from them. For those of you who like to read along, Jennifer is who creates the transcripts each week. Xavier, my handsome French husband, is the cameraman and website IT guy. It takes an herbal village to make it all happen, including you. Thank you so much for your support through your comments, reviews, and ratings. One of my favorite things about this podcast is hearing from you. I read every comment that comes in, and I'm excited to hear your thoughts. Okay, you've made it all the way to the end, which means you get your very own gold star. and this herbal tidbit. While many gardeners plant marigolds for their beauty or sometimes even their supposed pest-repelling powers, Yauhtli has another beautiful role to play. As Lauren shared, it can be a late-season bloomer, offering nectar when many other flowers have already called it quits for the year. This makes it a treasured food source for pollinators, especially monarch butterflies, as they make their long migration south. So if you're growing this plant in your garden, you're not just cultivating herbal medicine, you're helping support the great monarch journey. And I really love that image. A butterfly pausing to sip from this golden marigold, carrying the season's last bits of sunlight on its wings. Thank you for joining me on this herbal adventure. I'll see you next time. Hi, it's Rosalee. If this podcast has brought you inspiration or grounded you in your love of herbs, I'd love to invite you to join the podcast circle. Your membership helps support the show, and it gives you access to live herbal classes, exclusive resources, and a warm community of fellow plant lovers. Learn more and join us at herbalpodcastcircle.com. Your support truly helps this podcast thrive. Thank you.